And joining me now, Gatestone Institute senior fellow and the author of The Coming Collapse of China and China is Going to War, Gordon Chang. Gordon, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. What is your reaction to this bill? And just to put this in context, these were 4 bills that passed the House. But when it gets to the Senate, it's going to be one combined gigantic bill with no amendments. So the way it is the way it is. It's not going to change. This is the bill that will be voted on in the Senate tomorrow, Tuesday. Your thoughts?
Well, it's good that the U.S. is going to ban TikTok. The bad thing, though, is that this bill gives ByteDance an additional 6 or so months to do this, which means it won't happen until after the election this year. And clearly, we know that the Biden election campaign and the Democratic National Committee, they use TikTok and they're on it. So really, this gives them a reprieve. But yes, we have to get rid of TikTok. And by the way, you know, China, for the most part, does not allow U.S. apps, but we allow Chinese apps in our country. As a matter of reciprocity, we should ban TikTok right away. And by the way, we know that the Chinese regime used TikTok to commit crimes in the U.S. That gives federal authorities the right to expropriate without compensation under forfeiture laws TikTok. That's something that we should consider.
Yeah, these are all really important points that you make, Gordon. Have you seen all the propaganda coming out of TikTok with all the advertising that they're doing? Meanwhile, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is traveling to China this week. He's got a 3-day trip planned. It includes meetings with Chinese officials in Shanghai and Beijing. It's not clear if he's meeting with Xi Jinping. It's unlikely. But Blinken is expected to say that the U.S. is prepared to act if China does not end its support for Russia's military, Gordon. Well, I'm not sure what he means by we're prepared to act. Do you? What is the act? Because I have a high likelihood that China is not going to stop its support of Russia. What do you think?
Yeah, I certainly agree with you there. This is because they've got an alliance which, as it really is close to the heart of the foreign policies of both Moscow and Beijing. The State Department has been talking about sanctioning Chinese companies that have been providing aid to Russia. But you got to remember, these companies are acting at the direction of the Communist Party, at the direction of the regime. And we should sanction the companies, that's okay, but we should be sanctioning the regime itself because that is the party that is directing the bad acts that we are trying to stop. And, you know, right now, this whole trip is, I think, going to be a disaster. Chinese propaganda already, before Blinken has gotten on the plane, is saying, oh, you know, the Americans need us. And so, therefore, they're sending their Secretary of State to our magnificent capital. This is just making the Chinese much more arrogant, making them behavior even worse. Gordon, you're out with a new piece this morning with Gatestone Institute titled, Thanks to Biden, China could start World War III here. You write this: China is swarming the waters of the Philippines, hoping to intimidate Manila into surrendering territory. U.S. President Joe Biden and the State Department keep on issuing warnings, but Chinese President Xi Jinping continues to ignore them, suggesting deterrence is failing and an incident leading to war could occur at any time. What are you worried about? Tell us. I'm worried that deterrence has failed. The State Department under Biden has issued something like 9 warnings that the U.S. is prepared to use force against China. 2 of them last month, on the 5th and the 23rd. President Biden himself has issued oral warnings, the most recent on the 11th of last month. And China just continues to ignore them. And we see some very dangerous activities. A week ago today, the Philippine Navy spotted 55 Chinese ships in its waters in the South China Sea. A few hours ago, Chinese vessels were very close to the main Philippine islands, within 35 nautical miles before they did a U-turn, thank God. Really what's happening here is that Xi Jinping looks at Biden and says, we don't have to worry about the Americans. Their word is no good. We are going to sever the Philippines. And the Philippines, of course, is extremely concerned because they've got no help other than the United States.
Liz Peek, jump in here.
Good morning, Gordon. It seems to me that our relationship with China is totally beholden, like so many others, to Joe Biden's completely paralyzing fear of rising gasoline prices. If, as you say, he moves in any way to sanction China, and sanction their relationship with their economic relationship with Russia, that would imperil the oil supply, right? Because that's where most of the Russian oil is going. And if they really cut off that spigot, China will have to buy oil elsewhere, prices rise, and basically gasoline prices for American tourists and American drivers go up, which is very bad news for Biden. How does he square that?
He doesn't square it, and that's the reason why he has completely failed to enforce American sanctions on the sale of Iranian oil. Last year, China purchased 90% of Iran's exports of crude, and of course, we know that China's purchases of Russia's minerals and crude increased last year. So essentially, Beijing is financing not only the war in Ukraine, but also the war against Israel. Biden, for various reasons, doesn't want to drill in our country. So therefore, he is buying and paying for the wars that Moscow and Beijing are waging against us.
I mean, how much more can communist China do to America to spark some kind of a response in the way of sanctions or tariffs from the United States? I mean, even Biden saying that he's going to put tariffs on steel companies is not believable, Gordon. And yet we've got the administration threatening to put sanctions on Israel for human rights abuses.
I mean, that's just hideous, you know. And to go to your first question, you know, China deliberately sells fentanyl to the United States. This is a project of the Communist Party. It's to weaken the American Republic. And, you know, they're killing tens of thousands, somewhere like 70 to 80,000 Americans a year from doses of illegal Chinese fentanyl. And Biden knows what's going on. He knows what the Chinese are doing. He has the power to stop it, and he's chosen not to stop it, which is the reason why the deaths are increasing. This is, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's stunning. It is all incredible narratives all along. Gordon, thank you. Gordon Chang with the latest on communist China this morning.